Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Tom Devine. I'm with AVPro Edge, and today we're going to talk about a 4x4 matrix switcher called the Axiom 4. And for some of you who have been selling AVPro, buying AVPro, installing AVPro, and doing smaller point-to-point, or matrix multiple zone setups, you're going to be used to what this thing does. But this is going to look a little different. We have some new features that are going to really blow you away. We're coming first to market with a lot of cool different things that we're going to be able to do, and I'm going to go over them all today. But before we get into this product right here, I do want to just do some housekeeping stuff. If you have any questions and you're watching live, there is a questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel, and you can just place them there, and then I can ask them or answer them live. If you have the question, that probably means someone else does too. So, definitely put it down and we'll get it covered for you. If you are watching later on YouTube, that is why the quality of this video isn't the best, is because it was recorded live on doing a GoToWebinar software. So I do apologize for the bad resolution on YouTube, but that's just how it gets exported. Nothing I can do on that. But hopefully the information is going to be what you're here for anyway. And we're going to be talking about this really cool matrix switcher. If you're on YouTube, just place your questions directly below in the comments and we'll answer them there for you. So let's take a look at the Axiom product here right away. I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to go over, and we'll kind of run through, and then we'll also look at the whole new Axiom interface, which is really the game changer for this product. So a little bit of background: AVPro Edge is known for making matrix switchers. Matrix switchers, we have 4x2, 8x2, 4x4, 6x2, 8x8, 16x16, modular. That is what we do. We were the first to market with the 18 gigabit per second matrix switcher. We are pushing to have that 8K matrix switcher that will be coming out very soon. And with this one, what we have done is we've taken all the technology that we've learned through all of our different engineering, and we put it into this one extremely powerful, luxurious switcher. And we're calling this the Axiom. So this is a new line of switchers that is going to be carried out, as we develop more of these throughout the 8x8 and the 16x16. But this is actually the launch of the product, the first Axiom product that is available, and it is in a 4x4 matrix switcher. So if we look on the back here, you're going to be able to see the inputs and outputs, and we'll go through this entire thing. But this is what we're going to be talking about today. It's a very, very beautiful matrix switcher, and it's a big upgrade from what we have been shipping in the past. Always pushing the boundaries of what's available and what we hear from integrators on what they want, and this is one of those ways that we're delivering it. So let me pull up my PowerPoint here. I'll have to just share my screen. Okay, cool. So it says that you can see it now. If you can't see it, just let me know. No problem, and I can get that fixed. So this is a Dolby Atmos, that's a sound codec, DTS:X sound codec, downmixing 4x4 matrix switcher. And so it has HDMI inputs, 4 of them. It has 4 HDMI / HDBaseT matrix or ports that are mirrored, so you have both ports in the back and they're both active at the same time, allowing you to use both of them. But it is the classic 4x4. This is what you're going to see here. Right in the front, you're going to see some big changes. So as I've said before, we've been doing this, and we've had a downmixing matrix switcher. It was as you can see, the new SKU is AC-Axiom-4. We actually had a AC-MX44, AUHD, HDBT, AVDM, and that was a great product. But it was this is the next generation of that product. So if you need a matrix switcher that does 18 gigabit per second 4K, can handle all of the HDR, is able to then also take all of those huge 24, 32 channel audio codecs like Dolby Atmos and downmix them into a 2-channel system so you can play them in your kitchen, in your patio, at the same time as someone's watching them in your home theater with all of those speakers that you set up. And so that's what you're going to have this switch for. So let's go in and look at what makes this special. And that special version is, you know, the down mixing. It's being able to handle HDR. But we did all that with the MX44. This is the product that it is updating. And what really differentiates this is a few things, though. It's going to be, it has a whole new look. It's made to stand out and look really, really clean, sleek, and cool, sitting in a matrix rack. You know, I mean, sitting in a rack-mounted system. It has the nice handlebars, has a nice shaved silver. We got rid of those bright white buttons and replaced it with some really sleek black buttons. So it would really stand out, look like a high piece of technology that was, you know, engineered as technically as advanced as this is. We wanted the look to convey that, and so that is part of the reason. But you know, this is going into rack, it's being tucked around. Just as long as it's switching, that's the main part, right? Exactly, and that's exactly what's going to happen for this. Even more so, though, we didn't just change the look and slap a new, you know, some new lipstick on an old product. No, we have completely overhauled the components inside and the way that this works, so it works better, smoother, and operates so that you're going to have a lot more tools when it comes to setup, scaling, resolution scaling, EDID control, you know, choices of where you want to do this. And we'll get into that when we look at the Axiom interface, the real game changer of this product. But like I said, you know, this can handle Dolby Vision, HDR10 plus, HLG. Every flavor of HDR is going to be able to get this support, is going to be able to support those signals. I do have a question that came in here. James said, will this training be uploaded to YouTube, or can I get a copy to share? And yes, it sure will. Usually I can get it out the same day. If not, it'll be next day, James. But yes, it'll just, if you search AVPro Edge on YouTube, we'll get that right out for you. And yeah, please share this with any of your coworkers, anybody, any of your customers that you think would benefit from this. So let's just take a quick look. You're going to see it has a full screen that's going to give you and a menu system, so you could use these buttons right here to manage EDID and check your network and do your manage your switch and your audio settings. And it also just has push buttons. If you want to go from input 1 to output 2, you can just push the buttons right on the front here. Very, very simple. Then let's take a look at the back. This back is going to be very similar to, if you guys are used to the old AVDM, you're going to have your 4 HDMI inputs. So this is where your sources are going to connect. You plug in your 4 sources here and you connect your 4 displays, 8 if you wanted to use your HDMI loop out ports, but you could connect your 4 displays via category cable. We suggest, we have a litany of receivers that you can use if you do need audio amplifying with it. But the best one's going to be our RNE, and that's going to handle 18 gigabits per second. You're going to be able to control scaling independently on each one of these output blocks. And then where that extracted 2-channel comes out of is your audio right here. And even though this says audio 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're actually completely independent. So you could lock these together, or you could have audio 1 be connected to what input or outputs coming out on 3. These are completely configurable however you want it. But you will, what happens is if it goes in Dolby Atmos here or DTS:X audio here, you will pass DTS and audio through the HDBaseT and HDMI port so that it can go into an AVR and go into more speakers. But with the audio port, that's going to downmix that signal to a 2-channel signal. All right, we have another question here. Will the HDMI inputs and the HDBaseT inputs be parallel or independent? These, so that's a great question, James. If you see this kind of block around here, we call these output blocks. So each block is independent. So you have 4 independent blocks. Inside each of those blocks, you have a mirrored signal. So the same exact signal is coming out of this HDBaseT port that is coming out of this HDMI port. With the reason that we have this is we use this as a loop out. Sometimes it may go into an audio system. Maybe you hide your AVR in the rack as well for a nice luxurious speaker system. Then you could take your HDBaseT directly to your TV, but you could keep your AVR right in your rack system and just loop right out, extracting the audio, using only the audio out of this one. But it has full 18 gigabit per second 4K signaling coming out. So you could definitely just connect a TV to that or place an extender on that if you wanted to have two TVs that were mirrored. Maybe if one was at your home theater and one was at your bar and you wanted them to be the same. Great question. A couple more questions. I'm going to just go in here. HDMI 2.1. And will it support higher than 18 gigabits per second? No, this is an 18 gigabit per second matrix switcher. It may have a 24 gigabit per second backplane on it, but that would be something in the future that we would have to update. Right now, we do not have any HDMI 2.1 matrix switchers. Our first one is going to be our 8x2, and I guarantee you, Paul, I will make sure that you hear about that because it will be a big deal when we're switching 8K. But this is going to be able to handle all those things. Let's say you have a PS5. Let's say that you have an 8K display. Well, 8K displays do a really, really great job of upscaling that 4K signal to 8K. And so what you can do is you can manage your EDID inside this matrix switcher to ask for 4K 60 444 from that PS5, giving you that full 18 gigabit per second signal, which is a beautiful picture. And then this can route it to whichever TVs you wanted, going to even an 8K TV, which is going to upscale. So you could still have a great experience using these new consoles, these new displays, these new AVRs that are labeled as 8K. But no, this product is not going to be able to distribute an 8K signal, and either is any products yet. But I assure you, we are working super hard to bring those solutions to you, Paul. Another question. Sorry, HDBaseT out and HDMI out. I meant, yep. So these HDBaseT out and this HDMI out, they are mirrored. These are completely the exact same signal at all times. You would have to, if you wanted to get an independent signal, you'd have to go to the next output block. Next question is, so the optical is 2-channel only. Right here, this is a 2-channel. You can actually extract more than 2-channel out of this port. Sean, you can do a 5.1 signal out of that optical port right here. But if you did activate your down mixing components, which we can show you how to do that in the Axiom interface here in a second, then it would extract 2-channel from there so that it could, sound good into a whatever kind of system you're going to put it into, Sean. But that is your choice. If you do not want to activate the down mixing part of it, where you do want to extract higher than higher than 2-channel, that you are capable of doing that. But Sean, I would say at that point, you may be paying for down mixing that you don't need, and we would probably move you over to a different matrix switch that didn't have the down mixing in it, because we have this exact same setup for you in our HDBaseT 4x4 that's going to still give you those extraction ports. It's just not going to down mix. This is going to be, the top of the line. This is the flagship matrix switcher, our Axiom line, and it's full of all the bells and whistles. So that's why it has scaling independently on every single output, and it has independent audio down mixing, taking those huge, and a lot of, and I don't mean to cut myself off right there, Sean, but a lot of companies have offered down mixing, but they can actually down mix 5.1 systems. AVPro Edge, we down mix differently. We can down mix 7.1 and beyond systems. We can download custom codecs from Dolby and DTS, and we do that by working directly with Dolby and DTS engineers to work hand in hand to allow us to do that. It's not an easy task. But that's what this switch is able to do. So you can actually set up, you know, a nice a 10 channel, 15 channel, 20 channel audio system in the home theater, but still deliver that same exact experience of having the audio and video play how it is meant to be played in the other zones that are not set up for all of that robust audio. So that's where this switch is definitely going to be the core for the reason. Will there be a 6x6 or 8x8 version of this matrix? Great question, Ari. I'm just going through the questions right now because we got a bunch, and I love the questions coming in. And yes, there sure will be an 8x8, not a 6x6. We'll just go 8x8. Then there'll be a 16x16 as well. And then how long will it take to switch between video sources? Always under 3 seconds for these. Depends how you have the scaling, depends how you have the different things, depends what the source is, depends if it's 1080 to 4K. But we have made sure that it is as fast as we possibly can with hot plug detect, with all those different things that are going to still activate the HDMI sources correctly. But it is going to be under 3 seconds for sure. So great question, Federico. And then I have a question from Sammy. Can it do 4K 120 hertz? This is an 18 gigabit per second matrix switcher. So that's a great question, Sammy. But you know, it just has to be under the HDMI 2.0 specification. Now, as I said before, this does has a larger backplane, and Sammy may be playing to that because there are actual ways that we can do that, but we don't want to just say that that is a standard on this right now, 4K at 120 hertz. There's not a lot of content that's playing 4K at 120 hertz. It really is for the gamers, and you'd have to make sure that you'd really have to strip the color down for that. So it all depends, Sammy, but it is an 18 gigabit per second. So just as long as the bandwidth stays under that, it can support some of those different ones that are just a hair outside the HDMI 2.0 specification. But we would say as a standard, you want to just make sure that you are looking for 2.0, HDMI 2.0 signals. So 5.1 until I activate the downmix. That was a question from Sean again about the audio extraction, and that is exactly correct, Sean. Another question from Jason, this is the last one before we'll continue on, is what if you were able to use the front LCD screen as a monitor or output as well? That would be ultimate. And dude, Jason, that would be ultimate. I wish you could. I just don't know if we'd have the capabilities to put such, those huge signals on such a small screen, but it would be super, super sweet. Maybe something I'll get some of our fun engineers to look into. All right, so let's start taking a look at this. This is a full feature list. I've kind of gone over this. I don't need to go completely into it. Feel free to read through it yourself. But some of the big ones you're just going to want to know is that it has support for all the different control systems that you would normally use: Control4, Savant, Crestron. It has those extracted audio modes where you can bind it to the different inputs or outputs depending on how you want it. Built-in down mixers, built-in scalers. We're using ICT to bring it, which is invisible compression technology, proprietary technology that AVPro uses in order to bring lossless compression through HDBaseT and allowing you to get that 4K 60 444. You have volume control, and we'll go into that when we look into that. So I am kind of burying the lead because we need to get to that Axiom interface. This is going to be your basic setup though. You got 4 TVs connected. You have, your receivers going right through here. Our first one, we're going straight into an AVR. We wanted to use no compression through ICT at all. And then, this is probably going to be your home theater. But you have all your HDMI sources, your control processor. It's just your standard setup for a 4x4 system. So this kind of talks about the down mixing. I've talked about it a bunch, so I don't know how deep I need to go on here. Ask you guys if you have more questions, let me know. But basically, we sell another product called the AVDM. And that's what this product does. It's just a singularity tool. Well, we built this tool. This little product is now built into this. So there's one of those AVDMs on each one of these. And so that's all inside the matrix switch. And how that works is if you have a Dolby Atmos source goes into the input, and you have a home theater with an AVR and a tons of audio that you want to look at all these cool speakers you want to play. So you go and you watch, you know, what's the biggest, newest, you know, best movie out right now. We'll say like Godzilla versus Kong, and you got it, and you couldn't see it in the movie theater, but good thing you have this huge home setup. And then you want to run upstairs and you got to refill your beer, you got to grab another soda. Okay, you're not going to pause because you're watching with other people. You don't want to miss anything. Well, you can watch Godzilla versus Kong in your kitchen as well. It's the exact same signal. You can put it through, but your kitchen only has 2 speakers. It's just a 2-channel system. If you try to send the same signal, the Dolby Atmos signal that you're sending to the AVR, to these 2 speakers, what's going to happen? It's going to sound terrible. It doesn't, you're going to pick up maybe some surround, you're going to pick up, you know, maybe it's just the center, or you're not going to get the correct channels. If our product, what we do is we take all of those, you know, 30, 20, 10 channels, 7.1, however big it is, we compress those down to 2 channels that you are able to hear, listen to, they sound well, and then you can still watch that show. You hear everything you need to, you see it, and you don't miss a thing. And so that's basically what we're doing. So if you don't, that is the concept that I'm trying to talk about. But now look at this. Okay, now we get to go into the interface. So this is what I'm showing you right now, guys, is the Axiom interface. Jason said, what is the cost of it? Just reach out. The MSRP is, we can go back, $4,799. Reach out to your you know, your RSM or your distributor or your rep, and they can tell you exactly how much it is. Yeah, but if you look down here at the bottom, $47.99 is MSRP. And then I had a question with Ryan. He says the non-dual rack monitor solution 7-inch screen is better than a 2-inch face on the 1 RU matrix. All right, Ryan is doing my job for me. I can't believe you're 100% correct, Ryan. Let's take you know, Ryan, you're 100% right. I should have said that right away. That little front screen's not going to help you at all, but we do know what is going to help you, and it is going to be the Mermon Dual. Let me pull it up here, and this is a really, really cool test monitor. So you just stick this right above your matrix switcher. It has loop outs. It has all the bunch of analyzing information so you can see. It can have ED control. And you know what, Ryan, I think you got me on this. This is definitely what I should have been showing, huh? But it's definitely a really cool product. And I'll tell you what, every time one of these monitors has going into a rack system, it definitely adds an extreme wow factor to that rack system. Every customer likes it, and every integrator saves so much time not having to run around from zone to zone to zone to see what signals and things are coming through with having that local test monitor built right into your rack. So you're right, Ryan. I should have said that right away. So now let's go into the Axiom interface. So I didn't want to jump into that right away. So how we go into this is I have one hooked up, not this one. I told my tech team, I said, get it hooked up on the network so I can go over it with everybody. And he said, okay, I'm going to have it on the IP address 247. So I'm on the same network. IP address right here, 247. And then I am pulling up the live matrix switch. And this is the Axiom interface that you guys are seeing right now. This is really the complete and the thing that we have overhauled the most, the thing that's going to stand out the most. And as you can see, it has a whole new look, and it looks really, really simple. What you have right here is we can open up our menu system, and these are the different types of areas you have inside this web GUI. That is, all you have to do to access it is plug your switch into the network, and we plug it in with the network right here. And once this switch is plugged into the network and you're on that same network via your phone, tablet, in my case, computer, we can then see this screen. And right away, I have input 2, input 3, and I can just make the switches that I want. I can go input 4, I want all of the outputs to be on input 4, and on input 2, I want it on this one now. and you can just switch it around. And as you can see, I put them on 4, but then I switched it to 2. So those happen in real time. And whatever's green, that's going to be the live. So the same thing happens with your extracted audio. I want the source coming in on input 3 to have the extracted audio on output 1. And on 2, I want it on 3. And 1, I want it on 4. And 4, I want it on 1. And now you have your extracted audio ports completely set up. You can switch them on a whim and just with the click of the button. If we go into our next screen though, we got a lot more information, right, guys? And so we can now see the in and out configuration. And as an integrator, as soon as you get on site, the first thing you're going to do is plug this thing in. You have everything set up, and now you want to manage. You are in control. You choose what happens. And we have one of the biggest breakthroughs that we have for you is we've always given you EDID choices. And EDID is the signal that goes from a sink to a source, so the opposite direction, a TV to a gaming console, a TV to a Roku Ultra, a TV to an Apple 4K, and it tells them, hey, this is what I'm capable of doing. Well, with Axiom, you can now build your own EDID. You don't just choose one thing, you choose your resolution. This TV can handle 4K 60, and it has, well, yes, 3D, and it can do HDR, and I can handle 8-channel audio. And then when I hit apply, bada bing, bada boom, number 1, that is now the EDID that is going to be sent to that source. And that source is going to send a 4K 60 signal. If it has 3D, it's going to have it. If it has HDR, it's going to send it. It's going to send up to 8 channels or any of those codecs that we want to see, like Dolby Atmos and DTX. But this is now even special. I mean, if that doesn't blow you guys away, that you guys haven't been paying attention. So let me do some catch up here. I got a bunch of questions. Will the Axiom switch still arrive with a static IP address out of the box? You know it, Ian. It will arrive with a static IP address that is going to be very easy to change, very easy to configure if you want. And we have a quick start guide right on our website that allows it to you if you don't want to have static, if you do need a dynamic, or if you want to change what it is. Very, very simple. So great question, Ian, but yes. Another question from Joaquin is FY video became terrible. So sorry if you guys are seeing that the video became, real bad. I definitely apologize. Maybe it's some different connection issues or something like that. Hopefully you guys will have one of these soon and you'll be able to see it live, and you're still getting the good gist from me. Can you name the inputs and outputs? Oh, that's a great question. So that was from Don. So Don, you sure can. So let's do that right now. Let's call this, what are we going to call our input 1, or should we call that the Apple 4K? And then we know that that's what it is. And this one is our Xbox Series X, and so forth and so on. So yes, you definitely can. And it says, I can see you can change the label in IOut config. You sure can, Don. And then, so if you guys don't have any questions on that, build your own EDID, which is a really, really cool tool. Now we're going into downmix mode. And as I said, we've had that downmixing before, and you could always go with your default downmixing. That is going to be the standard for Dolby and DTX. We use their standards. We work directly with them. They say, this is how you should downmix, and we have it as default. And that's the way that we've always had it in the past. But with this one, we've always heard from our customers, hey, I'd like to hear a little bit more of the sound effects, or literally, the background's a little muted, or the background's too much, I can't hear the voices, or all sorts of different ones, because everybody watches TV different, and everybody has different tastes on what they want to see. So we have now put the power to you, the integrator, to choose that. Ask those questions. What does your customer want? So we have your options for low, mid, and high center. Those center channels, do you want them a little bit lower? Are still higher than the default but low, or do you want a mid, or do you want the center to be higher than all the background, drowning those out? Same with the effects, you can turn it all the way up. And then we have voice as well. If you have a customer that's watching, talking head news shows for most of the time, then you maybe do want to have that voice be, pronounced more, and then you can select voice, and then we can go through and you'd be able to, get it all taken care of. So, as you can see here, we have no signals right here because this is just, we don't have a live system set up. It's just the switches set up. But this is a really a nice thing that if you were connected to a TV, you get a red-green signal to lets you know if your signal is happening and if it's healthy. And then we can switch over now to the video outputs. So now this was all the inputs. We managed exactly what's coming into our switch. It's perfect for our system. We know our TVs can handle this. We know our AVRs can handle this. So now let's talk about our video. Now we got the video. Okay, on the output, I have my HDMI at the top and I have my HDBaseT. And so I have independent on what I want to do. On my output one, I'm going to call this home theater, and this will be where our home theater is going out to this output. And for this, I'm going to have, I don't need to have a send out a test pattern, so I'll just have my state be disabled, or I'll have it. I want to have this this port active, so I'm going to have enabled. I can disable this port, or I can even send a test pattern if you don't have a source, but you want to make sure your TVs are available and actively working. But then you can also just scale right here. You can take 1080p to 4K. You can turn off or on bitstream audio if you want to send those, higher signals or not. And then we have, and as you can see, it looks like we do have a TV connected to this HDMI port because we have a green. So thank you, Sam, for doing that down in the lab. And big shout out to Sam in our next newsletter for a really, really good article on audio and subwoofers and the AEX extender. So check that out in the last newsletter. And then we can look on our HDBaseT, the state, we want to enable this port. Do we want to video scale this? We're going to use ICT. That's where we allow for that 18 gigabit per second 4K signal to come through and still look beautiful. Or do we want to change this 4K signal down to a 1080p? Maybe we have a legacy display. Maybe you have an older projector. We can just change that to 4K, 4K to 1080, and it's going to scale that signal before it even gets to the TV. And then here's where you have your extracted audio output settings. You can name those. So maybe, we have one is, we're going to call that home theater as well. Home theater AVR. I maxed out the characters, sorry. So a home theater AVR. And then with that, I have independent volume control. So each one of those ones I can actually control right in here and configure. And then I can get even deeper into it and actually, manage even the balance even deeper. I'm not probably as smart as a lot of you integrators and audiophiles who are going to know exactly how to set those different frequencies. Anyway, so that's just, you guys, we're only to the in and out config. So as you can see, this is extremely robust, has tons of different things that you're going to do. But this does have a lot more tools for it. So I'm going to try to run through these quickly. I don't want to, take all of the entire day for this. So, this is where you have your IP settings like we talked about before, how you can manage that if you did want DHCP or if you wanted to have a static IP and how to apply that. So that was a question came in there earlier. Here's where you can manage your RS-232 settings, some different settings for Telnet. You have admin web interface. So if you wanted to set a password on this, so you could make sure that only the integrator could get in that, you can do that. You actually can set up a user web interface password as well. So with this, I could set it up so that you are able to, so I have to secure this, and you have to select that somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but you can enable this so that it locks everything out. It locks out the configuration, the system, the diagnostics, and it just shows the matrix. So that if you wanted to send your Apple TV to your home theater, you could pull this up on your phone, give this IP address to your end user, and they would be able to just do some really basic switching. It's not a control system by any means, but just some real basic switching. That's a really cool feature. And then cloud services, with cloud services, what the reason that we want to have this is, we have our tech support is die-hard helpers. They want to help all of our integrators at all times. And what ends up happening is they're updating firmware, they're doing these different things, and it is a tough, for a lot of AVPro Edge products, it's kind of hard and it takes some time to update that firmware. And we've heard that from you, the integrator. So we are rectifying that, and we are doing that. Here is your, you know, exactly what you want here, guys. So you can update the firmware, you can put the file in, you can check for an update online, you can upload it, and then you can put it right into the system. It will update now your switch using this interface very, very simply, allowing you to see exactly what kind of firmware that you have, and then also allow you to get the newest firmware and then upload it very, very easily all through this box. Really cool. And then I also wanted to show diagnostic. We, as you know, AVPro Edge, we push technology forward. We want to be the first ones delivering 8K. We want to have the first people that are doing the best and most bandwidth possible. And we also, in order to do that, our engineers have to get really smart and really minute into the details that's going on. And in doing so, we put those tools into our system anyway for our engineers to figure out, so they can look at and analyze. Well, we're taking those same engineering tools and we're bringing it to the integrator with this diagnostic section. So you can see your HDMI, HDMI out, or HDMI out and HDBaseT out, and you can actually see the different status of it, see what kind of TV is connected to it via the EDIT information, all sorts of different really cool information that's going to help an integrator out when they're trying to troubleshoot a system. So this is the Axiom interface right here. It is truly one of the biggest growths for AVPro Edge and over the pandemic. We, you know, everybody was nervous, didn't know what was going to happen. Well, our leaders here at AVPro Edge, they doubled down on the type of people that we hired and our engineering, and they were able to develop this during that time. And now it's available now for everyone via our Axiom 4. So let me see if I got any more questions on here. Ryan had a question, so let me pull up my PowerPoint back. So Tom, you can send HDR from a source to one display and SDR from that same source to another display, like you can with MXNet. Well, let's take a look if you can, you know, because Ryan, I haven't tried to do that exact thing, but let me see if we look at that configuration, if there would be a way to do that. So if you have your source coming in and you ask for HDR from your source, and then you took your source and you had the same source going to the output 1 and output 2, then you could scale 1080p to 4K here or 4K to 1080p there. I don't know if it would manage the HDR or the HDR metadata, so I'm not positive about that. You know, that's a great question, Ryan, and I can definitely follow up, and I'll put it in the comments of this to find out if you can or if you can't. But that's a great question. If that is something specific you do need to do, like Ryan said, MXNet's always available. All right, great question. All right, guys, so, you know, you're kind of seeing all the ins and outs of it. The rest of this is going to be, you know, HDBaseT, we're partnering with them. Control systems, we partner with all the big ones. They're available to you. You install very confidently when you install AVPro Edge, because we have a 10-year warranty. It's a no-nonsense warranty. We don't try to, you know, try to jab you and try to get, hey, well, I don't know about this. No, we just take care of you. We're your partner. We want you to be our partners. We want you guys to install AVPro Edge. We want you guys to have systems that you don't have to worry about. And we want you to have systems that if there ever is a problem, you can get to it, take care of it, and see what's going on with it right away. No matter what you do, if you have a system, sometimes you have to take a look at that. And having the tools that Axiom is providing is just a little bit of a glimpse into how we can offer that 10-year warranty, with how depth our research is, We manufacture our own products. We don't just buy other people's products. You know, we're building these from the ground up. So that's why we can do those things. Need more information? Just go to the website, contact me, reach out to your RSM. The website's up right here. I put it in the chat feature, so you can click that as well, and then you can, you know, take a look at all the different features, and you can get a close look at what's coming in the box. I can probably go over that. It goes over the Axiom interface, but you know, as you can see, I'll take this PowerPoint off here and just go back to here. So as you can see, this is going to be the box that it comes in. This is your switch right down here. And then the things it comes with comes with your extractor. So you have your 5-pin to 2-channel for all of your down mixing on those extractor ports. Makes it really, really easy. And then you have your, this is the box that comes with it, remote, power supply, grounding cable. You have your handlebars, which that one already has, and then you have your little connectors for all your RS-232 ports and your all the different little Phoenix ports on the back. So that is the Axiom Matrix Switcher. I hope you guys learned some new things on this, are excited to be talking about this. If you do have any questions, throw them in here. Doesn't look like I have any more coming in, so I'll give it another minute or so for you guys to type in your questions. But if you do have any other questions after that, no problem. My email is tom@avproglobal.com. You can send anything to me and I can help you out. If you do have a distributor or anybody who sells audio video products in your local area, or you have a rep, be sure to just ask them about it. They're going to have all the information as well on this. AVPro Edge is available everywhere. If you are having trouble finding where it is, don't worry, the website can point you out to us. We have plenty of help all around to help you get these solutions into the hands and the installations of your end users. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Definitely check out the newsletter. Go to avproedge.com and check out the newsletter. It's under news, and you're gonna see that there's a whole bunch of cool stuff going on that we're doing, and a bunch of cool articles. Most importantly, we did a retrofit for a really, really nice house. And so I'm sharing my screen right here. Some of you guys may know Stefan. Here's his pretty face on the screen. Oops, I turned it off for a second. But he's a great guy, and he put this together with some of his partners down in Florida, and put together a really, really cool case study. So it just shows to show you that even on the homes that are not built, or the installations, the buildings that are not built for 4K, there are ways to get through it, and there are ways that AVPro Edge can help you get whole home audio video distribution. You get those beautiful optimized pictures. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm sure I'll see you on the next training. Have a great day.